The 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use. My second book. So rule number 1 to overcome your money blocks is when you believe. Belief is so critical. Maybe you were taught growing up, I can't be spiritual and rich. Anybody? Yeah. If I'm a good soul, then I can't be rich. Or you have to work really, really hard to be rich and successful. Anybody? That's what I was taught growing up. And I will tell you, my parents taught me, and my grandparents told my parents, and my great-grandparents told my grandparents. But I'll stand here today and tell you that that is a limiting belief. If you don't get good grades in high school, you can't get into uni. If you can't get into uni, you won't get a good job. If you don't get a good job, you'll be out in the street. All these are limiting beliefs. I will tell you there are millions of people around the globe that haven't finished uni that are multimillionaires. Now, I'm not saying don't go to school, but there are many ways to become rich. And rich is good. Prosperity is good. Abundance is good. So belief is rule number 1 because it's so critical in everything we do. And think about, I'll challenge you going forward to think about what your limiting beliefs are when it comes to money, prosperity, and abundance. And there's an easy way to shift that limiting belief to an empowering belief. Flip it. If you say, oh, I have to work really, really hard to be rich and successful, flip it to, I can work less and become rich and successful. Or I don't have to work hard to be rich and successful. Or if you have a limiting belief that you can't be spiritual and rich, there are a lot of people out there that are very spiritual and very rich. Another really powerful technique to shift your beliefs is to act as if what you want to believe is already in existence. You want that vacation home on the island of Maldives in the middle of the Indian Ocean. Go online, check it out, price it out, maybe check out the flights. How long is the flight from London to Maldives? How often are you going to go there? Or you want that blue convertible Maserati Gran Turismo that goes from 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds, is a 450 port V8 and semi-autonomous engine. Go test drive it. Smell the smells. Feel the leather. Act as if it's about to come in to your own existence. By the way, whatever you want exists. Whatever you want in this, your desire for your house, your car, your dream spouse, that person, that place, that thing exists already in this universe. It's just a matter of attracting it to you. So act as if what you want to happen has already happened. And it will come quicker and more easy. Any questions about rule number 1, when you believe?
What about okay, I'm not materialistic. It's almost like not good to be materialistic. It's not having good values or something.
So the comment was, it's not good to be materialistic. And maybe you were brought up that way, that to have nice clothes, to have the nice car or house is not correct, it's not right. But I will tell you, my belief is that it's good to be abundant and prosperous and have more. It's okay to spend some money on a materialistic thing. And it's also okay if you don't want to spend your money that way. So if you'd rather accumulate riches and then start a foundation to help children in Africa have enough food and water for the next 3 generations, then do that. So it doesn't need to be about a car or a house or a vacation home, but I still advocate become prosperous, become abundant, because it's good for everyone else on this planet. And I believe you came here to thrive, not just survive. Was that helpful? Any other questions or comments on beliefs? Yes, Gavin.
How do you change your belief? Because a lot of people have probably already tried.
Yeah, so the question was, how do you change your belief? So sometimes it's not so easy. And it can be easy when you believe it's easy. So, as I talked about earlier, if you have a belief that's not serving you, maybe you can use affirmations. Maybe you don't want to spend a little bit of extra money, so you could use the affirmation, it's a good thing I'm rich. Or, I recommend not saying things you don't believe. So what's your belief level? It's a good thing I'm rich, from 1 to 10, where 10 is absolute faith and 1 is massive doubt. If you're a 1, when you say it's a good thing I'm rich, then I'd recommend not saying it or soften it. Soon I will be rich. I allow myself to become rich. So affirmations are a very powerful way to change your beliefs. Saying things over and over again to yourself. You can say affirmations out loud with emotion. Put your name in them. I, Joel Solomon, am a generous giver and an excellent receiver. If you believe it, and I do. So saying it out loud with emotion. You can also record it in your own voice and then listen to it. So it's another way of using affirmations. So I believe that affirmations are quite powerful to change beliefs. And saying them out loud yourself, recording them. We'll get to rule number 3 in a few seconds. Using visualization to change a belief is powerful too. And depending on what the belief is, rules 5 and 6, which we'll get into in a few minutes, are also powerful ways to change your belief. So let me continue, and we'll answer more of the question in a few minutes. So another way to eliminate a money block is to trust your instincts. I call it trust your intuition. And I will tell you that no financial planner, no financial advisor will tell you to trust your intuition. But as a former hedge fund manager, I will tell you that if I didn't trust my intuition, I either lost money or made less money. And people ask me, Joel, how do you trust your intuition? How do you develop your intuition? So you go to the gym, you want to develop your bicep, you do some curls. So you want to develop your intuition? Practice every day. You're making hundreds of decisions every day. Trust your intuition. Say you're at the tube station and the local train is sitting there, but the express is coming in 2 minutes. What do you do? Local, express, local, what do you do? Trust your intuition. Let me tell you a story. Every Thursday morning, I used to take my daughters to school. They were a little bit younger. And we had options. We could take the highway, we could take the local roads, or we could hitchhike. Just kidding. Now, normally my intuition was telling me to take the highway. But there was one particular morning, the highway was all backed up with traffic. Now, my intellect said, go local. But my intuition, my gut was saying, take the highway. So what do? I went local. Why? A few minutes later, I'm really upset. I hear the sirens. I see the flashing lights. And because I didn't trust my intuition, it cost me $150 speeding ticket. And to this day, my daughters tease me and call me Speedy Pants. Trust your intuition. Here's an example related to investments. So it was early 2008. I'm working at Citigroup as a hedge fund manager. And we had done an analysis of a large insurance company called AIG, American International Group. And we knew they were overvalued. We were betting the stock was going to go down. And a couple of months later, the stock was already down 20%. And my analyst comes in and says, hey, look at the numbers, look at the analysis. It's pretty much done. It's not going much lower. And I looked at his analysis, and I remembered our price target, and I said, okay, you're right. So we got out. My intuition was telling me, don't touch it, don't touch it. A few days later, stock's down 5% in just a couple more days, and my intuition is still screaming at me, it's going lower, it's going lower. So we got back in. And 3 months later, the stock's down 60%. We made over 2 times our money annualized in just a few months by trusting my intuition.
But you can't teach that.
Yes, you can. I just told you can. By developing your intuition. Now, people will say to me, well, Joel, you had experience in the investment world, and so you felt it. But I will tell you, I can teach you how to develop your intuition in investments, in stocks, in real estate, in crypto, and that's what I do, actually. Now, I teach a process as well, which we'll get into in a second, but I also teach how to develop your intuition so that you're more confident, self-confident in the process, and you believe in the process, and you're trusting your intuition, because the more you're practicing this 5-step proprietary stock screen that I teach, or the 7-step real estate screen, that you're more comfortable and you believe in it more, and then your intuition develops as well. Does that make sense? I will tell you, a few months ago, I met this woman who told me that there's no way that you could ever teach her how to develop intuition when it comes to investments. And I will tell you, it's a self-evident truth. If you believe that there's no way I can teach you, then there's no way I can teach you. But if you're open-minded and you believe that it's possible that you can become a better investor by being coached by someone who managed over almost $700 million at Citigroup, then you can. But you have to believe it, rule number 1. So, intuition, really powerful. And you just have to practice it every chance you get. In small decisions, start with small baby steps, right? So try it tomorrow. Which way should I go to work? You have options. Maybe you're not hitchhiking, but you have options. Just, people don't think about these things. So if you work on your intuition, it'll become stronger and stronger over time. Any other questions on intuition? Let's talk about rule number 3. Can visualization help you become financially free? I say it's a rhetorical question. Closing your eyes and thinking about what you want to happen for 3 to 5 minutes a day and being consistent every single day will create that reality. Now, it's not that easy, so let me give you the special 6 steps. Hopefully you guys have a pad and pen. So here's step number 1. Pick a time, pick a place, Pick the amount of time. I recommend 3 to 5 minutes, no more. You may start daydreaming or thinking about that next spouse or your first spouse. Step number 4. Wayne Dyer said in his book, Wishes Fulfilled, make your future dream a present reality by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Make your future dream a present reality by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So get into the feeling of that visualization. You want that blue convertible Maserati Gran Turismo. Close your eyes, or maybe go online and take a picture of it and see yourself in it. Maybe you're driving, on the M25, going 90. Maybe the top's down and you got more hair than I do, so your hair's blown in the wind. Step 4 is to write down 3 dreams and desires before you close your eyes. What's the dream? What's the desire that you have? And that you're gonna and don't link them. Think of one. So it's not, I'm driving with my dream spouse in my blue convertible Maserati to my dream home. Right? Don't link them. It's one thing, one dream at a time. Think about that for 3 to 5 minutes. The next day you can, I recommend thinking one thing for 30 days, but you could think one thing, 3 to 5 minutes, the next day think of something else. So step 4, write down 3 dreams and desires. Step 5 is to feel the feeling. And step 6, for me, is kind of hard, but if you can do it, great. Picture yourself in the dream. It's like you're having an out-of-body experience. You're looking down on yourself with your hair blown in the wind, driving that blue convertible Maserati. And you're smiling, and you're grateful, and you're happy, and you're feeling great. Now here's a bonus step. I don't normally give this away, but we got a special group tonight. Came all the way from the US to talk to you guys. I'm going to give you the bonus step. And that is to think beyond the dream. Visualize beyond the dream. Say your dream is your business is generating at least $1 million a year. You can visualize beyond the dream. You've achieved that, and now you're flying 50 of your favorite clients to Cipriani's in New York, in Manhattan on 42nd Street. And you're speaking to them. You're giving the speech, celebrating them, being so grateful for them for contributing to your $1 million year. And you're so grateful. And you're there speaking to that small group, of that intimate 50 people group. So that's thinking beyond the dream. It's already happened. You've already achieved the goal for the business, and you're beyond it. And you can do that for any part of the dream. You're already in your dream house or vacation home, and you're living it and loving it. So, rule number 4, creative visualization. So, back to answering Gavin's question from earlier about how to shift beliefs. Rule number 5, how to eliminate money blocks, is being grateful. Anybody have a gratitude journal? Yes, cool. We got a few people. I highly recommend having a gratitude journal. Let me tell you a quick story before I get into the gratitude journal. It was November 2006. Morgan was not yet 9 months old. I was on the Upper East Side of Manhattan with my wife at the time. We got a call from my mom. She said, Joel, the temperature is 105. It hasn't gone down since you left. Is there anything else we should do? I said, no, Mom, we'll be right home. At the time, we lived about an hour away from the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Remember racing home, feeling full of fear and worry. And I teach my clients now, worry is negative future planning. You're thinking about what you don't want to happen. Why not think about what you do? But I didn't know that back then. This was 19 years ago. And so we got home, took one look at Morgan, how pale she was, gave her more cold compresses, gave her the baby Tylenol, called the pediatrician who said if the temperature doesn't change, that you should bring her into the hospital in the morning. Well, luckily the temperature did go down, and we decided to bring her into the pediatrician anyway on the Monday morning, who took one look at Morgan and said, get her to the hospital. She knew her history. We get to the hospital. We asked the surgeon, one question we have for you, is there anything we can do to avoid surgery? He said, no. Morgan's not yet 9 months old. We bring her into the operating room. I remember literally holding her down as they gave her the anesthesia to put her out. And then they wouldn't allow us to stay in the operating room. I don't remember exactly when the tears stopped rolling down my cheeks, but a couple of hours later, the doctor came out and said the operation was a success and Morgan would be out shortly, but nothing prepared us for her still being hooked up to the wires in the IV, and tears started flowing again. And then maybe an hour or so later, she was back to herself, happy, smiling. So why do I tell you the story about my daughter Morgan, who, by the way, is 19 now? Because I am so grateful for her being a healthy, beautiful, caring, intelligent, 19-year-old young woman. So who could you be grateful for? What could you be grateful for? Start that gratitude journal today and write down at least 3 to 5 things you're grateful for and why. Professor Seligman out of the University of Virginia did a study where he asked for student volunteers, and he had his students get hooked up to electrodes and check the synapses of the brain at the beginning of the 30 days, and then he had them write for 30 days at least 3 things that they were grateful for and why. And at the end of the 30 days, he then checked the brain synapses, and the brain synapses had actually expanded. The brain is elastic, and the brain synapses had expanded in the areas of happiness. So the more grateful you are, the more happy you are. Oh, we didn't get into rule number 4, which is, can happiness buy you money? Let's do that next. Sorry, skip 4. So gratitude is a powerful technique that will help you change your beliefs. If you can be grateful for what you have now but still want more, it can help you change your beliefs. So let's go back to rule number 4. Can happiness buy you money?
Yes.
Absolutely. I will tell you, it's very difficult to be happy 24/7, and I don't think you want to be, because contrast allows you to appreciate the good times even more. But why not write down a few things you're happy about unconditionally? Let me tell you a quick story. It was July 1st, 2005. 2015. It was second year of my management of my own hedge fund, Solomore Capital. And a company that we were betting was going to go down announced that they were being acquired for a 30% premium. It was going to be the worst day of my career managing money. And I had just gotten a text from my colleague saying so. And I was in pain. I literally felt pain all over my body. Just so unhappy because I felt like I had let my investors down and I felt like giving up. Anyone ever feel like giving up? Yeah, I felt like giving up. I felt like actually a complete imposter. And on the train that day, I was in so much pain that I said, you know what, let's just stop. Let's just end this. But for some reason, I put on an uplifting song, Ooh Child by the 5 Stair Steps. You know, ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things are gonna get brighter. Well, song didn't make me ecstatic, but at least it stopped me from crying that day. And I put on a good, calm appearance for my colleagues. And I realized that things would get easier and better soon. And I realized something towards the end of that day, that that song made me happier, unconditionally happy. And I started writing down things that could make me unconditionally happy, like spending time with my daughters, Lauren and Morgan, like spending some money on a charity, or dancing, home alone, naked, or just dancing. So what can you do to create unconditional happiness in your life? Because when you do things that create unconditional happiness, you raise your vibration to the same level of joy, passion, gratitude, appreciation, and abundance and prosperity. So I'd recommend writing down at least a few things that you have in your back pocket when, for whatever reason, you're not feeling ecstatic. Maybe it's walking in nature, petting your dog, or spending time with your family members. Or maybe even listening to a prosperity coach talking about abundance. So we went back to 4, we did 5. Rule number 6 in the 9 money rules millionaires use is giving. Sir John Templeton, some say the best investor of all time, he started the Templeton funds with just a few $1,000s. He sold the Templeton funds to the Franklin funds for almost $1 billion. Said that he hadn't met anybody who hadn't given at least 10% of his earnings each year over a 10-year period who didn't have massively more wealth at the end of the 10 years than at the beginning. And I know what you're thinking, Joel, if I give my money away, I have less money. How does that work? Well, I will tell you that giving, that money is just energy. And by giving that money away, you're creating a flow of energy. And when you give it away, at least in my life, it's come back in multiples. So, and by the way, giving doesn't have to be just about money, of course. You could give a gift of your talent. You could give a smile to a stranger. You could give a compliment to a stranger. Think about ways you can give. I prefer the money aspect, especially when you're feeling lack or scarce. That's a great way to change your belief. If you're feeling worried or scared about money, give. I have my clients do this all the time. Even if it's just a few quid. Because you're shifting your mindset from lack and scarcity to, I got plenty to spare and share. And then guess what happens? You do. So giving, very powerful technique to eliminate money blocks. Let's talk about rule number 7. Where's my cash going? Now we're getting into strategic aspects of the 9 money rules. I say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So if you want to understand how to become financially free, you have to know where your money is going. And the way you calculate your financial freedom number, by the way, is to calculate your expenses. You add up all your expenses. One of my clients said to me, Joel, you want me to calculate every single amount of money I spend every single day for the next 7 days? Forget it. I said, well, what's your financial freedom worth? If you're not willing to do that, then you're not ever going to be financially free. So do it for a week, multiply by 4, you got 4 weeks. Multiply by 12, you got a year. You don't have to do it every single day, but do it at least for a week, and then annualize it. So let's suppose that your expenses are £5,000 per month. That's $60,000 per year. You would need £1 million, earning 6%, which I'll say is conservative based on my methodologies, to become financially free. 1 million. So calculate yours. Calculate what your expenses are. I found with my clients, it's very rare that it's more than 10,000. Very rare. So for most people I'm interacting with, it's 2 million or less to become financially free. And by the way, that's passive income investments. That's 2 million, 1 to 2 million of passive income investments. So now the question is, what are passive income investments? It's any investments that you're not actively working for. It could be stocks, could be real estate, not your house, but property where you're renting it out to somebody else and you're getting income from that. It could be a book that you wrote in the past that's generating royalty income, or maybe it's an online course, maybe it's vending machines. Any passive income generating investments go to your financial freedom number. So questions about the first 7 rules? Yes, Gavin.
Can you become financially free if you don't save money?
Good question. Well, I consider saving different. So the question was, can you become financially free if you don't save? So I consider saving different from investing. So if the question is, can you become financially free if you haven't invested? No. But can you become financially free if you haven't saved? Yes. Because I picture savings as putting money into a bank or putting it under your mattress. By the way, I've come up with 7 money personality types. I'm not going to talk about that tonight, but the person who puts the money under the mattress, they are called the protectionist. They're so worried about their money that they're not even giving it to the bank. They're earning a negative 4 or 5% interest rate because of inflation, by the way. So that's the most risky way to save, quote unquote. Put it under your mattress, keep it in your apartment, keep it in your flat, because of inflation, you're losing 3, 4, 5% every year. So I don't know, did that answer your question?
You can invest as much as you like, but if you're not saving, can you become financially free?
So you can save and then put it into investments. But if you're just saving it in the bank and you're just to generate 0.1% return or put it under your mattress, no.
For instance, you need a rainy day fund because you can't necessarily take money out of investments so rapidly. Not all investments are so liquid.
So to become financially free, you need to have passive investments that are generating a return. Now, if you have money in savings, that's £1 million, and it's not generating any income, then it can't cover your expenses. So you just be withdrawing the principal every single year, and it'll last 16 years. So you need passive investments to compound so that you're financially free forever. So that's why I say it has to be an investment. Does that make sense? Yeah. So rule number 8 is DIY, do it yourself. And I have found that the richest people in the world, the most prosperous, abundant people in the world, do it themselves. They don't give their money to a financial advisor, financial planner. They take full responsibility for their lives, including their investments, and they find passive income investments to invest. Rule number 9 is probably the most controversial one. Don't diversify. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's co-chairman up until 15 months ago when he passed away, his partner at Berkshire Hathaway, one of the largest companies in the US, said, if you know nothing, diversify. If you know nothing, diversify. Now, I teach ways to invest so that you get a very high return, and so I want you to know something. Warren Buffett himself said that if he had his druthers, he would invest more than 50% of his net worth in one business. And Peter Lynch, who was one of the best portfolio managers of all time in the 1990s in the US, he generated an annual return for 10 years of 30% per year. He said if he had his druthers, he would invest between 3 and 10 stocks. So when people ask me, Joel, you're saying put all your eggs in one basket? I said, no, I'm just saying don't have 50 investments, 100 investments, 3 to 10. 3 to 10. And John Kenneth Galbraith, the economist, said, this was 100 years ago, put all your eggs in one basket and watch them very carefully. So that's what I recommend. So those are the 9 money rules millionaires use and the 9 money blocks that you can overcome to use those 9 money rules. So questions? Before we do the raffle for my book. Yes,
I
Tom.
only have one point which resonated with me, which is when you asked if happiness can make you money. Now, I did sales for a very long time, and it was a phenomenon that I noticed amongst salespeople who were working in the call center, 200 agents. Every single time somebody was ecstatic, they would make a killing on the phones. Every time somebody came in and they were just on cloud nine. You know when it's just your day, everything's just going right through, they're just laughing, bubbling, they're being goofy and silly, they would always make a fortune on the phones. I actually noticed that to be a natural phenomenon. Like when you're just so happy, you're buzzing, you're flying, these things line up monetarily.
Absolutely, and so that's why can happiness buy me money? Can happiness help me become financially free is rule number 3. And so I would consciously think about what things make you happy. Write them down and do those things each day. So for me, I love to go for a jog. It just gets the endorphins going. So I jog pretty much every day. Yeah, so I'm being proactive rather than reactive. Most people, now I will tell you, up until 2016, 9 years ago, I was like everyone else and I was reactive. I didn't have a morning routine like that. I'd jump out of bed and maybe not even have breakfast, get on the clothes, and get on that commuter train into Manhattan. And then grab something on the way in to eat. But for the last 9 years, I've practiced the self-care routine because I know how important it is for your mental state and the happiness. That vibration, getting that vibration up, creates more and more abundance in your life. So thank you for sharing. Yes. Questions?
Yeah, something about investing. I mean, I don't know much about investing, so I'd rather hold on to the money and put it in savings, like as a food reserve or something. Like when I lost the place, my landlord sold the place where I was living, and I have to pay 6 months rent in advance. So I need to make sure I've got enough of that in savings. I'd rather hold on to it than invest in something I don't know what I'm investing in and lose it.
Right. So I hear, so the question was, I'd rather hold savings rather than invest. And I would say, learn first. Have a coach help you, teach you to learn what areas, and what I teach is, it's important to understand what you're interested in. If you're not interested in stocks, don't go there. If you're not interested in property, don't go there. Maybe it's crypto. Maybe it's vending machines. Maybe it's an Amazon fulfillment business. I will teach you, or a coach would teach you, where you're most interested and excited about. Because what I believe differently than most people is there's only one way to get rich. Right? Some people say, well, you got to do real estate. You got to do property. That's the way. And I will say, yes, for some people it is. Maybe it's 20 or 30% of the population, it's property. But for others, it's not. So don't go there. If it's not exciting for you, if you're not interested in it, I believe you're going to make much more money if you're interested in something, if you're interested in learning about it. So if it's stocks, go for it and learn about stocks. But if it's not, and you want to learn about crypto, or if you want to learn about currency trading or commodity trading, whatever it is, find something that does interest you and excite you. Or somebody came to me a couple of weeks ago and said, I really don't know any of this stuff. Can you teach me all of it? Sure. I have courses on all these areas so that you can decide what interests you the most and then dive deeper there. Does that make sense? And that's pretty unusual. Most people, I'm a real estate coach, I'm going to teach you real estate. Or I'm a stock coach, I'm going to teach you about stocks. Or I'm an options and futures, I'm going to teach you that. I believe that there's hundreds, if not thousands, of ways to become prosperous. So choose which one most excites you. Let's take a short break and we'll continue.